Hey everyone, my name is Adam Needens, and this is my case study for EDL 850 Module 14. Let's get started. We're going to be looking at the St. Regis School. We're going to focus on our stakeholders on this slide right here. What we want to concentrate on are that they have a K through 8 building with about 420 students in this building. They are located in a rural community 25 miles from the nearest city. This small town has 2 grocery stores, 1 drugstore, and a few local owned businesses. There are 2 teachers per grade. That would average out to about 20 to 23 students probably in each class for these teachers. There are 2 special education teachers, one being for the lower elementary and one being for 5 through 8. There is a media aid and library teacher in this building as well, and she is one person that we are going to be focusing on throughout this case study. The principal, myself, Mr. Keith Sample, I'm in my 3rd year at this school. I am not originally from this area, so I don't have any community ties or background with anybody in this area. From information that I've gathered from my 3 years so far being here is that people are starting to buy into what I'm implementing in this school, and it seems to be going over pretty well thus far. Focus on the right side of the slide here. The couple people we're going to look at here are Mrs. Brandon and Mrs. Lynn. They're in a copyright conflict situation here. There are budget issues in our school that we need to look at. We're going through right now, we're needing to do fundraisers for our technology in our building. We have a computer lab of about 20 computers. That doesn't quite seem to be doing a sufficient job, but it's getting us by for now. But right now we're having to do fundraisers with the school and with the community to be able to even get to that point with the computers and software that we're needing. What's happening here is we're downloading software onto blank CDs for individual classroom use. That's infringing on the copyright laws there. Mrs. Lynn, who is our library teacher and our media aide, kind of running our tech classroom with the computer lab, she's just going about her job thinking she's trying to help the students, help the teachers out, give them what they need by supplying this software to them. Mrs. Brandon, another teacher in the building, lower elementary teacher, is very well aware of her copyright infringement laws, and she knows this is against the law and has gone to me about this issue. The legal and ethical issues that we're looking at here, we have the copying of the software onto the blank CDs, what we talked about for individual classroom use. Mrs. Lynn, who's the library teacher and media aide, is just trying to help. Most of the teachers were on board with this topic as well. They were all for it, knowing that, hey, we need that software in the classroom. This would really benefit us. Let's go ahead and do it. Mrs. Brandon, who we mentioned earlier, she knows her copyright laws and from her previous experiences at other schools and knew this was not okay. The action was brought to me by her, and it was stopped pretty much immediately after I found out about the issue. The one thing I'm looking at here is nobody was maliciously trying to copyright steal someone else's work. They weren't trying to do any harm with it. Our media aide, Mrs. Lynn, thought she was providing a service to the teachers and to the students, that it was needed, and that it would hopefully help out with our budget issues in the school system as well. Had this continued, however, and the school was found guilty of this, there would be some serious ramifications for the school and probably Mrs. Lynn as well, unfortunately. Our copyright infringement here at St. Regis. Here's what I have written down, mainly focusing on, once again, our budget issue is what Mrs. Lynn was looking at. The media specialist has taken it upon herself to download copyrighted software onto blank CDs at the request of the grade school teachers in order to help save money in a budget-conscious school and community. We're going to focus on 3 areas here. Our people who we're focusing on here. We have a K through 8 building, once again, 420 students in this building. Myself being the principal, Mr. Keith Sample, I'm involved in this situation. I'm glad I'm involved in this situation now. That way we can handle it properly. Mrs. Lynn, veteran in our school, been here a long time, library aide, trying to help out in this situation though. Maybe quite didn't understand everything that was going along with it, her copyright laws, and how to handle this directly with me or directly with the other teachers, and as a matter of fact. Mrs. Brandon, our first year teacher in the district, she does have some teaching experience, but this is her first year here. Mrs. Brandon's been kind of put in a tough spot. She wants to get along with the other teachers and she doesn't want to cause any issues with anybody. However, she's stuck in this situation knowing her copyright laws, so she has come to myself asking for my assistance in the matter, knowing what needs to be done here. We also need to look at our students. How is this going to affect our students in a positive or negative manner? Yes, that could affect our students positively if they were able to get this software, have a more individualized program on their technology. However, push comes to shove, if things go the wrong way, these students are not going to be benefiting from any technology, probably. There at least there was one PTA member aware of this that was helping Mrs. Lynn in this process as well. So there are community members that are aware of what's going on in this situation as well. So that's going to need to be documented, and the community members are going to need provided information on what's happening here. Where this is going on here, we're looking at our school, which is a rural school district, 25 miles from the nearest city. Once the kids get into high school, they get bused into the nearest city, so there is a bit of a connection there as well. This is a tight-knit community. However, that being said, the community is very involved, but we are very budget conscious, it seems. The program, the situation here, we're looking for public school funneling into that city high school here as well. We have a computer lab with a media aid. We don't have a specific technology teacher, so she's trying to do the library stuff and our computer lab as well. There are 20 computers in this school for the whole entire school to share. Mrs. Lynn has set up a schedule and a program for these kids to come in with their teachers and how they can use it and how often and things like that. We're looking for added software for the elementary level. That's why this whole situation came up. Trying to gain an advantage of using what we can to kind of get by with the money situation that we have. We're going to review all this information here. I need to concentrate on these questions and kind of take a hard look at how I'm going to handle this stuff. So I need to look at how this is going to affect my staff. Mrs. Brandon is kind of put in a tough spot, like I said earlier, because she knows what needs to be done. Excuse me, but she's not going to want to necessarily jump out and force the issue with the other teachers, knowing that she's the first year teacher here in this district, and a lot of the other teachers have been here for a long time. How will this affect the more veteran teachers if I have to approach it in kind of a more harsh manner of, hey, what are we doing here? How are we handling things? You guys need to think about this, this, and this, and we need to address this situation. I also need to look at how this is going to affect our community. There obviously are people, that being the PTA member that was in there, so I know there's at least one community member, and we're assuming there's going to be more that are aware of our situation. They already know our budget situation because they're helping out with fundraisers as much as they can, so they know we're needing money. However, how is this going to look if I turn my cheek to it, or how is this going to look if I come down too harshly to this situation as well? How does it affect our students? Well, our students are wanting the technology. They would probably love more technology. However, if this comes down to a negative situation, they're going to end up probably with less technology and less software than what we already have. Do I have all the information I need? Have I talked to everybody involved in this matter, and have I gathered everything that I need to make the proper decision that needs to be made here? What decisions need to be made, and what's going to be the result based on those decisions that I make here? How is this going to affect everybody in the short term and the long term? Got some options and some consequences to go with those. Number one, do nothing. Kind of turn my back to it and let it play out. Let her keep copying the software and let the teachers use it, and let's hope we get by. Now, this is leading to an unethical leadership style on my part that may or may not catch up to me on this specific case, but we know that will at some point. Teachers and community members are going to recognize that, hey, he turned his back to that. What else is he going to turn his back to? Can we trust everything that this guy's wanting to do in the school or not? Number two, suspend punish, however you want to word that, the guilty parties that are involved. Mrs. Lynn mainly being the case here of knowing or not knowing, I guess, what's going on in this situation. How do we handle it with her? Number 3, let's have a conversation with everybody involved. Let's see what needs to happen now. How can we handle this situation today? How can we handle this situation in the future? And then we're going to need to obviously address the staff, because not everybody's aware of copyright laws, the ethical background that needs to be taken place here. If you list them out, pros and cons, this might be something that we might want to look at here. If you were to sit down and make a list, if I do nothing, we're going to have little conflict, which would be a pro. It's going to help our budget, also a pro, and the students as well in this situation, because they're going to be gaining more technology and more software to benefit them educationally. Yet serious ethical consequences could be levied on us if caught, meaning the school, me, whoever else is involved. If I punish the guilty parties too harshly, this issue shouldn't be happening again, which would be a pro in our school building. Yet, however, I'm going to punish these people that were just trying to help us stretch out our small budget for the betterment of the students and betterment of the school. How is this going to look as on me as a principal? How's this going to look for our community? How does this look towards the rest of the staff for this situation? So we have to make a final decision. Here's what my final decision would be on the case. After gathering all of the information, here's what my plan moving forward is. I will meet with Mrs. Lynn, Mrs. Brandon, and Mrs. Williams, who is involved in this case, separately to discuss the issue first. Then I would have a staff meeting on what took place and how we will handle the situation now and how the teachers can handle this in the future. I would tell them the copied software needs to be given back and or destroyed. This software needs to be used for the intended purpose in the computer lab only. Explain what the ramifications could have been legally and that this cannot happen again. In the future, if there is any question about what to do with our copyright laws, please come see me. We can address the situation. If there are any concerns about the school budget and what we can do to help in that area, let's get together on that. Let's brainstorm on some budget cutting ideas and or fundraising options. Since we're already doing some, maybe we need to add more. There are legal and ethical methods that we must follow to help make this school a better place. And I know our mission is clear, and we're already doing a great job to help our students each and every day. We have teachers that care and a community that's willing to help us out. So that was my case study, everybody. Thank you for listening.